Another year, another Call of Duty. Let's talk about it. What's up guys, my name is Scorch and today I wanted to talk about COD Modern Warfare 2's beta, which took place from the 24th to the 26th of September. Needless to say, there are some things that I really liked and some things that I'm not too sure on. Mainly the price, because it's up there, and hopefully in today's video we can answer if it's worth all that money. Full disclaimer, this is my opinion. If you agree or disagree with anything, let me know in the comments below. Maybe leave a like or a dislike on the way there. Anyway, getting into the video, we'll start with some of the things I noticed first. Visuals. The game looks great and offers a lot to players when it comes to tuning the game for your system. I opted for fairly low settings all around, keeping certain things high for my own preference. However, the game is still very pleasing to look at. Furthermore, adding to the immersion, the animations have improved dramatically, and in my opinion feel excellent during gameplay. I do have a small problem with the intensity of the recoil, but I'll get onto that later. Back on topic, reload animations are stellar. Should you need to perform an action such as sprinting that will cancel the reload animation, you'll automatically pick up from where you left off once your character has both hands back on the gun, which is a lovely little touch. Movement animations are also very well done. It's a small thing that I don't think many people notice, but I for one appreciate it. Some people may not like this, but the game feels a little slower paced than Modern Warfare 19. Slide cancels are a thing in the past, ADS speeds have been dialed down, and you just feel heavier in general. That isn't to say you don't see people bunny hopping around corners and the like, but it's certainly become more of a skill than a gimmick to be quick, which to me is a welcome change. Time to kill is a different story, however. I have some gripes with the inconsistency, but it's nothing game breaking. Moving on to game modes. The beta gave us a fairly decent selection, with of course the classics such as TDM, Domination, Hardpoint, and Search and Destroy, but also throwing some others into the mix as followed. Prisoner Rescue, fairly self-explanatory mode, protect or capture the prisoner. Knockout, fight for control over a package. If you're holding it when the game ends, then your team wins. If the enemy is holding it, then they win. If no one's holding it, then it's a draw. Respawns are also enabled on this mode. Invasion is another new mode. More specifically, it's one of the two big massive war modes that the beta offered. In this one, the goal is simple: eliminate the enemy. Team sizes are 20 each, with the game really trying to show off the advanced AI, combining it with real players in each team. And finally, we have Ground War, the big boy. Similar to the Battlefield franchise, 64 players fight for dominance on a massive map. This mode has everything that the game has to offer, from land vehicles, boats, and even a chopper to spawn in. I haven't heard any news about whether they're going to add any other flying vehicles into the mix, but if you heard anything, let people know in the comments. But for now, I think they've done an excellent job here. However, it's not perfect. The spawns get a bit funky and no one knows how to deal with vehicles. I think this has something to do with the rocket launcher being unlocked a little later, so not enough people had time during the beta to get them. Hopefully this isn't a problem after release. Alongside all that, they also included a callback to the original Modern Warfare 2 with Mosh Pit, a third-person variant of the three main modes, TDM, Domination, and Hardpoint, with this apparently going to be a feature for all modes in the future. With the addition of more One Life modes, it's opening the door for a new type of player, which is a solid step in the right direction, and I found these modes really fun and intense, bringing back feelings that I haven't felt in an FPS for a good while. Next up, let's talk about audio. Not too much to say here really, the game sounds great. They've gone the extra mile in a lot of places, making the game feel a bit more polished. Footsteps are a touch loud, but these days if you have a gamer headset, then you more than likely have some kind of software that applies an EQ to boost footsteps anyway, so can't really complain too much there. But as a whole, it's solid. If I could change one thing, however, it'd be the announcers in game. These guys just sound like old war dogs that don't much care about anything no more, and it shows. Bring back the time when FPS announcers could be turned into memes. Whatever happened to those days? Next up, hit Reg and Ping. This is an important one. Luckily, however, no issues here during the beta. However, I'm sure the servers will feel the pressure during the launch, but if I could keep the quality in check, that would be stellar. Please and thank you. Before we move on to some of the things I didn't like, I wanted to include some honourable mentions. The campaign obviously wasn't in the beta, but I've heard lots of good things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come out with on this one. Last but not least, dolphin diving is also back, so do with that what you will. Moving on to some of the things I didn't like so much, let's talk about the maps. Now, they aren't exactly awful, just your usual 3-lane format with a few little extra spots tucked away here and there. But I think what I don't like the most is there's just too much to look at. Too many possible angles to consider. It just becomes a guessing game, more like whack-a-mole than a shooter. All this would be fun if it wasn't Call of Duty. It feels like the maps are designed for a much slower style of play, like Rainbow Six Siege. And while the gameplay is slower, it's not slow enough to suit these kinds of maps. Players are killed too fast and respawn at an equal speed, which throws the spawn points way out, resulting in not a single person knowing what's going on, with most just choosing to camp in a little unnecessary tucked away little nook, which they can get away with because you no longer show up on the map when you shoot, making suppressors useless along with dead silent, unless there's a UAV. So until other players notice you, it's just free kills for a minute or two before moving to another spot and doing the same thing. I think the maps worked out well for the more tactical game modes like Knockout. As soon as One Life was introduced, everyone started playing more carefully, which made these maps more enjoyable to play on. Moving on to a different subject. Time to kill. This, for me personally, felt very inconsistent, but for the most part was too short. One thing I liked about Modern Warfare 19 is it gave the players the ability to play on normal mode or hardcore mode, which had massive differences when it came to how long it took to kill someone. With one mode for more general players and the other for those looking for something faster. Whereas Modern Warfare 22 feels like it can't decide which one it wants to be. Hopefully they just increase the time to kill by a little bit and then add a hardcore mode to the game. Speaking of different modes, where the hell was 2v2s? For anyone that used to watch me back in Modern Warfare 19 days, you would know that I loved 2v2s and I was not happy when this wasn't in the beta. I really, really hope it's in the full game. It is such a fun, fresh game mode. I don't want to say goodbye to it. I'm not ready to say goodbye to it yet. I hope it's in the full game. Next up, we have probably the weirdest issue that I have seen in an FPS game to date. In fact, I don't think I've seen this issue in any modern FPS game. In fact, any modern game whatsoever. And that is loading new players. What the hell is that? I have no words here. It's weird, I don't like it, no idea how it happened. Moving on. Attachments. Maybe it was just me and the way I had them set up, but I just didn't feel like they made any difference whatsoever. Perhaps the devs are trying to make the changes more realistic and subtle by not having them really impact your gun that much, which the more I think about it isn't such a bad thing, but it's also not really what COD players come to this game for. While we're still talking about guns, I wanted to quickly share my 2 cents when it comes to the recoil. It's hectic. I think they were trying to keep going with the polished, realistic feel that the other animations give off, but in my opinion, this is not the place for realism. Sure, give the players a challenge by giving them a unique recoil pattern, etc. But as it is currently, as soon as you press mouse 1, your crosshair just gets thrown around like a dog on a chew toy. And for me personally, it's just too much. But all of that really is nothing compared to the next problem. Without spending too much time on that, let's get into the giant pair of disgusting balls hanging off of this game. In fact, it's not even balls, it's a turd. Just a giant turd hanging out this game's ass. And let me tell you, when you load up this game for the first time, it's like they've backed that ass into you and you're too drunk to even notice, so you just let it happen. Then as soon as you look down, you just see shit smeared all over you. That's how bad the UI in this game is. As soon as you open the game, you have the battle pass shoved down your throat. After that, the menu treats itself pretty much like a mobile game with extra tabs. If you choose to tinker with your weapon, you better have your fingers ready because you're gonna have to go through tab after tab after tab. Easiest way to get back to the main menu is just start spamming escape. And what happened to vertical layouts? Everything is just trying way too hard to be different that it is actually becoming a problem for the players. I've also heard that they brought over the previous UI director from Hulu. Not sure who thought it was a good idea to bring a team that makes UI for streaming service apps that only have a search bar, a recommended feed, and maybe a few other things, and then bring them to design UI for a massive AAA title that involves in-depth systems that need to be easy for players to understand. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to take risks or try new things. I've always been an advocate for devs to come up with new and fresh ideas, but surely they were able to foresee this. I mean, why Hulu? Why not bring a company that has experience designing games, not streaming services? Judging from a recent tweet by a user named Ralph Valve, who runs a Twitter page providing updates on all things Call of Duty, it doesn't look like they have any major plans at this point to change the UI, which is unfortunate, but if people keep mentioning it, then I'm sure they'll look into it further. Finally, I wanted to mention the operator system they've got going on here. This is just as useless as it was in Modern Warfare 19 with no change in sight. I get that people want to personalize their experience a bit, which is fair enough, but to be honest, I don't get operators. I never have, but if you like operators and you know more about them, maybe you can let me know in the comments and fill me in because I am lost on them, to be honest. So that's pretty much everything I can come up with. I thought the beta was actually very successful. Sure, there are some changes that need to happen, but that's why it's a beta. As far as I'm concerned, by today's standards, Call of Duty has done an excellent job, and we should all feel very lucky that we have the luxury of only needing to complain about things like UI and kill time. Devs, if you're listening, we still love you and we still love your game. You're doing a great job, but please don't stop now. Before I sign off, I wanted to give a massive shout out to the Act Man for inspiring me to make this video. He did an amazing job going in depth with these issues and made a great video, so check him out. Links down below. While you're down there, there's another link that says Scorch HDTV. Maybe click on that one too. But for now, that's all I have for you folks. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked what you see, please consider leaving a like and maybe even a sub. Till next time, I will see you out there, homies.